Hi, this is Bill Foote, and welcome back to Stats 1. We're up to Lecture 8. Lecture 7 was practice. Lecture 5 was Gauss's robots. And maybe they had the blues then, but now they're going rogue. We're going to actually use them to create a simulation. And the question we're going to pose in this lecture has to do with a marketing department. And the marketing department has a question. What do sales look like in the next quarter? We're going to have 4 quarters of data. We will have multiple regions, multiple products. We're going to be gathering all sorts of information. And we have count of actual products being sold across time and across regions. And for this one, we're going to change it up just a little bit what our process is. Yes, we're always going to pose. And at the end of our process, we're always going to infer. And infer is, it means we're learning something. I hope we learned something anyways. Look at how we're changing this. Form and sample. I put sample after form. Forming hypotheses often is done in concert with sampling, especially in non-experimental settings. And the non-experimental setting we have here is observations of sales. And after that, we count. After that, we infer. But it's entirely possible that count, which is our model of what we observe. And again, doesn't matter what the setting is, really. That might inform us as to the kind of sample that we need. The count is really a lot of, between the count and the form, is very much the science of what we're doing. And it is the superstructure against which we throw data to see if our approach, our framework, our theory been parameterized inside of hypotheses, how that is consistent or not, and the degree to which it's consistent. Now, typically, it will always be consistent somehow. If it's logically not consistent, why are we considering it? Okay, that's always going to be part of the question. And I'm talking very general right now. Let's get right into specifics. We have a problem. We have 4 vice presidents of regions, north. A little more comfortable here. South, east, and west. So we have these 4 VPs in the organization, and they're selling 6 different products. We have 3 Lancaster products. I'll call that L0, XL, and L. It sounds like a car. And 3 Star products, a 2000 series, a 5000 series, and a 9000 series, each with their VPs. We've got a lot of VPs here. This is very typical in a matrix organization where we might consider, for example, that the products are horizontals in the matrix and the regions are verticals. So we have geography and we have product families. The individual products will have a little barcode askew, a shopkeeping unit that we now, okay, fine. All that's interesting. The organization as a whole needs to know what Q5 looks like. What are the plausible given Q1, 2, 3, and 4? Given that, that's a major assumption in the analysis. Given that What is Q5? Now, already we have an idea of what this data is going to look like. We will form hypotheses, but we're going to look at data first. What kind of data do we need to pose to answer this simple posed question of what is the forecast for Q5? And the data, the headers in the data will look like this. We ask somebody to pull together a region, a product, a time, and then the count of the number of items sold. The sales report. Revenue is going to be something different, of course. Revenue will be this number times price, and we're not going to consider price here. And you know, there's the 4 P's of typical marketing. I'm going to challenge one of them. Product, place. What else is there? Promotion. Anything else? Probably a 4th one. You can think of it. Go to your marketing gurus and ask them. Well, the place is going to be northeast, southwest. That's R. The products are the 6 products. The time is going to be Q1 through Q4. So it's the last year's worth of sales. And usually most organizations do this on a quarterly for reporting purposes, especially SEC reporting purposes. Even if you're not listed, if you have bonds out there that are traded, you will need quarterly and or any other reporting that might be needed if it's privately placed, even if your financing is privately placed, or you might need it for working capital purposes. But most organizations actually go on a monthly basis. And any organization I've ever worked with, we actually had weekly meetings on this sort of thing. Okay. And the count will be the number of items sold. So that's what we have. Now, how do we answer this question? Well, part of the hypothesis forming approach is to take this kind of data and say, what might be a way to shape that data into something useful? I'm going to propose a way here. Suppose we wanted to do it by region. I'll make a list box. Nice little wireframe approach to thinking. And of course, this is going to be, I mean, you could do this in any programming language. We're going to be using this, doing this in the second part on an Excel framework, a spreadsheet framework. Yes, we're using Microsoft Excel 365. Yes, and list box, which is this is a nice way of just promoting that idea. Oh, there's another one. Promote. Another P. Yes, always forget that one. Why? Because that's, everybody says that's marketing. I just have always been involved in pricing and other things. The promotion is the advertising. And there's a change going on even in marketing around that one, as opposed to P, it's A, attracting. Attracting. Through a marketing program, attracting customers, not being so proactive as to promote. But promotion and pricing are very much aligned, discounts and so on. And the vice presidents, you know, promotion and place, the vice presidents, each and every one want their own little product report by quarter. Okay, so here's the quarters coming up. So Q1, 2, 3, 4, and by product. We got 6 of those here. So it's always useful to make the wireframe, realizing we have 6. Okay. And what do we have in the middle here? We have in the middle all of the counts. So you have a Lancaster in Q1, that's right here. How many? 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, 5 million, whatever the number is. Okay. Now, okay, that's fine. Those are the rows, those are the columns, that's the choice, the user's choice. And that's a feature that we want to put in there. And we have a way of putting that feature in Excel. Now, what else might we want to know? Well, first of all, it's very interesting to know that this data of count is really a summation of individual transactions. And sums of transactions, sums of anything, tend to follow a symmetric error distribution, where we have the mean and we have standard deviations. Two parameters tend to capture, well, nearly everything we're interested in. There's things that are not captured, like thickness of tails, for example, or the skewness of the distribution. But what happens is in repeated transactions in this particular case with customers, we will probably tend to see a Gaussian distribution. Rogue part is, what are we going to use this for? Well, we're going to use it to answer a question, a forecasting question. What does Q5 look like? Well, I don't know what it's going to look like. So we might ask and answer these questions as well. What's a typical product? What's a typical product count? Sales. Typical product sales might be an average. What is the range? Well, we can capture range with standard deviations for each and every product. Okay, that's nice. The regional vice president by product, yes. Put 6 samples in your sample case and go visit a customer. Might also be interested in across all of the products, what is the average sales and the standard deviation of sales? Okay, all this is possible. And we can get grand totals here. We can get the grand average for the year. And it's usually, again, a rolling year or a rolling set of periods where we freeze the data and say, how did we do in the last whatever flow of the year? And here we might have a grand average of mu and standard deviation. So that's the basic setup. We think it's going to, we have sample. We have a sample that should be able to get at pieces, maybe not all the pieces of how we might forecast. Again, we don't have price. We don't have promotion. And those are, I think, critical assumptions to the analysis. And that would be a very interesting thing to do. We could do pricing, definitely. But we have 2 product lines, let's see, 2 product families. These are product groups, product families, and hierarchies of groupings of products, and then specific products. We have 3 different Lancaster products, 3 different star products in our count here. So this is the beginning of lecture 8. We're going to go and take these drawings, which we have gotten the team together, and everybody pretty much agrees that this is the way to go. Everybody has agreed that these are the right ways to shape the data. We're going to service the needs of just these vice presidents. And in another iteration, once we know how to do that, we can create another wire form and then look at products by region. Okay, that's another way to do it. So we can look at a product in the list box and now look at the different regions over the quarters. Okay, that's another way we can do it. We can slice and dice this data. Okay, but we should always be looking at it from what the dog saw. It's a great book by Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote many essays for the New Yorker. Ron Goupil, the Vegematic King, from the 70s, 80s, and a little bit of the 90s. A TV huckster, yes. I mean, he just high passion, deal. And now we have a slicing and dicing machine. And that's what we're doing here with the data. We're slicing and dicing it. So I welcome you to lecture 8, and I welcome you to the next segment of this lecture. And again, strap yourself in as we put this wireframe into practice on the next round. Once again, thank you very much for your kind attention, and I'll leave you to your own devices.